Well, hello, people. That's the biggest number of people I've ever seen in my talks. Thanks for being here. Because of the time, I will try to be quick. I do my best. It's a long topic, a lot to tell, so many things from our experience that we want to share with you. So I try to keep it short and as informative as I can. So I'll start. I think you saw the description in the events. We are a self-organized group of people affected. Well, we have the whole package. My language, I will talk simply. I have no scientific terms and such like. So we came together, and we're all people that don't have rights in Germany. We have no perspective that we can stay. We're affected by racism of different kinds. We're discriminated against because of our status. Most people are just accepted. They have a temporary visa. And the people who were living with me in those places. So over time, we realized most people don't know what a Lager is, what those people are. Which people are those? Is this at a camp? Is it a military troop place? There are all those questions. So we wanted to give you an overview to all the different target groups of people in solidarity which live across Germany and also in different countries. But today we would like to give you our perspective from Germany and our experience, and I'm going to start right now what exactly it is we're doing. So I learned this word from the social services. We are sharing culture. Our it's an underground project. When there are places to put your trailers, everything's in solidarity, just like the CCC. And we're going to give this. We're going to talk about this with people. In our experience of 15 to 20 years, we have so much bureaucracy you cannot imagine. We have so much experience with German bureaucracy where there's a lot of racism, structural racism. So we're also giving tips to people in solidarity with people that had to flee. We're showing a useful project. If somebody wants to do training, wants to join a sports club, we'll show them the way or try to help them to find these places. Integration sounds funny. I saw the different places. If you're doing anything with bridges, they like it. So we're doing an integration bridge that the people living in Germany and the people affected come together through events just like this one. I'm sure there's also people around here who are affected, and with those events or workshops, we are trying to bring people into contact with each other and into contact with people affected. Because if you're living in the camp for a long time and you have a temporary visa for 20 years, 15 years, this gives you psychological, mental health damages. There's depression, there's trauma, everything. And our projects where people come together, we're trying to help them meet people that can help each other. Then,
to live in a camp is definitely against human rights. It's a kick against human rights. It is the worst and most exhausting experience that you can have. Because they stay there for a long time. It's not just 2 weeks or 10 days. There are people who live there for 6 years, 8 years, even though it's supposed to be a first-time onboarding measure. So now I'm going to talk about what a camp is and why it is really, really bad. It's shit. Who knows what a camp even is? There are bad pictures around, and there are so many horrible pictures around. Unfortunately, I couldn't add all of it because we've made some experiences which make us afraid about picture rights. So we have to be careful about this. And also, there is a lot of issues with people who have to sign something. And there is, when they come here first, they don't know exactly what it is, seemingly, or maybe, and there is trouble with this. So you can see these containers. There is a group of immigrants living there. And in the beginning, there was a lot of motivation out there to help out with this. But the atmosphere to live there for a long time, and the people who come out there, they're integrated for a long time. But when you come out of this place, it is like the time that you spend in there is gonna have a massive effect on the time when you come out. So this breeds an attitude with people feeling let down and feeling that they don't want to take part in the society anymore. So we want to give those people attention, help them to have contact with people, and maybe be able to have more events that they can attend so they feel different. Okay. So there is one question. I would like to understand how many of you know about this topic. Have you ever lived in a lager? Have you worked in one of those camps? Sorry. Do you have an imagination of how those camps look?
Put your hand in the air.
Please put your hands in the air.
Ah, cool. Wow.
Ah.
Nice. Dankeschön.
Okay, thank you. Nice.
Okay. Und,
okay. Okay. So coming back to the people who live in these camps.
Und das komme ich danach, sage ich.
So now we're going to talk about what the designing of the stay is about and what the so-called Duldung is about, which is a permission to stay rather than a permission to properly integrate in society.
People come with the airplane, with a normal visa, and then the question is, are you going to the police directly? And the police isn't doing anything other than to give you a piece of paper, and then you go to a place where you need to register, and then they will funnel you towards a camp of some sorts. And then to apply for asylum. There are people who come directly from Spain or from other places by car, and you can go to those places and apply for asylum. You go there, you try to talk to security, they don't understand you, they transfer you to the next person, and then there's the terrible way, by boat. I think that's one of the most terrifying routes through the Mediterranean. I come from Libya, and I know so many people from the south of Libya that went by foot from the south to the north and with pickup trucks. Some of those survived, some of those didn't survive it, and that's quite dangerous. People who came through such a route, that was difficult for them, and they need so much time and help, and they need awareness about their situation, and that is something that in the camps is often not seen properly. So from the south of Libya to the north, it's a gigantic country. There's a lot of desert there, millions of kilometers, People come from the south, Mali, Ghana, travel through the desert, and your chances of survival are 50-50. The military, smugglers, gangs, everything, lots of people with arms. Also for the people that live there, right? It's not just for the people fleeing. They all have to be living with the possibility of meeting armed forces. So you go from the south to the north, you arrive, then the people work a bit, save up some money, and then they would love to continue through the Mediterranean. There are two methods. First method is the smugglers. The people in Libya, the smuggler is the person that has the same goal you do. Where do I want to go? To Italy. Ah, how much do you have? 5,000. How much do you have? 10,000. And then they all get together, collect the money, and then they buy the boat. Why do they buy that boat? Because it's dangerous to cross the Mediterranean to Italy with one of those tiny boats. 60% chance of dying. Pretty much no chance with those tiny, tiny boats. But the people I talk to, it's more difficult to detect via radar. So you're not allowed to carry any metal on you and stuff. So I shouldn't give out all those details. But yeah, 60% chance that you arrive in Italy via the Mediterranean, and whether you continue or not. There are people in prison until this day. They couldn't get out. We tried to do something, but it didn't work. Communication didn't work out with the people that work there. And the people who are lucky, they meet people in solidarity from different NGOs, from different countries, and they support those people. And if they're lucky, then they arrive safely. And I see when people enter the country via sea, how they deal with people is different. Dealing with the police, and then they're like, they're organized. It depends how you talk with those people with asylum. But if you arrive alone on your own, that's different. It's the whole package. I'm not going to tell you all those terrible things, but a good friend of mine, was in prison for 6 months. And it arrived through the same boat like the others via Italy, but yeah. Now we're trying to do something, hopefully get that person out. And then there are people who have friends. Maybe many people ask themselves, why do those people come to Germany? Or say Syria or Pakistan, Afghanistan, countries in war. And the people say, it's not my choice. I didn't choose to come to Germany, but my mother, my father, my uncle, my aunt, my son, whatever, there's something that brings you to Germany. Many people don't come randomly, as they like, especially the people fleeing from countries in war, but they know they have relatives here and that would make their life easier, especially when the people are in Germany for a long time. Then they could explain all the processes to me in a simple way, and then you save these 15, 20 years it takes to actually arrive. As they say, until you're integrated and until you've understood everything. Then you got those families. There are people who are not going to say, hey, I'm here. Then the airplane, then there is a program for acceptance. That program is of integration. It's nice, but you need to have connections. Why? If the people do this in Libya, Pakistan, Afghanistan, there are always going to be some people with privileges, and those are going to be selected. And they say, hey, you fit with us. And it means they don't take it in a humane way, but they check for criteria which they find fitting. And I don't think that's all that nice. I think that's a discrimination against other people. Yeah. And then there are a few people Not many do that, but yeah, when they come via the airplane, that's transit, which a lot of people do. And the transit to go to Ghana, and then the transit goes via Germany, and now I have the chance to apply for asylum here. There are a few countries where they can tell you, no, you're going to get arrested here and you stay in prison here, and if you're lucky and you have contacts quickly with organization in this country, then they can apply a bit of pressure or do something with the police. Hey, that's inhumane, free that person, and that person themselves has to say, hey, I want to speak with a larger NGO, something international. Do you know someone who, at the state level, they always need someone to talk to? Because sometimes when we talk about something, they're not going to listen to you. Yeah.
So now I would like to talk about the personnel in the camps, and oof, I hope this time will fit to talk about this. So the personnel is manifold, different. There are many in the camps. There are the people who come from midpoint. This is the medical care. I don't know why they call it midpoint, because they won't just check and diagnose on how are you and do you have a bellyache. But when you come and say, I have a stomach ache, no, they don't have the medication. So when you come to them, you have to, suffer visibly for them to do something. So people say sometimes they have the feeling that they are robots, Some people give, the advice that they give each other is, you have to show that you are suffering, you have to cry in front of them, and you have to be sad, visibly sad, and then they will maybe give you an aspirin, something like that. But the people who lead the solidarity projects and the people who are showing solidarity by bringing medication, for example, those are too few. So I'm trying to give you some overview over the experiences. There is everything. There is people who had cancer and died. There are so many cases that are so hard to see. And if you have pregnant women or children who cry, and everybody needs medication, and it's very hard to understand why they structure it and deal with it the way they do.
Du wohnst im Lager.
Okay.
Das ist von meinen Erfahrungen selbst. Ich habe so irgendwie mit über 900 Menschen dort.
Okay, so he's talking about 900 people who've made experiences. It's a Lager in Chemnitz.
Dass du dort so irgendwie klar kommst, erst einmal.
And he's talking about being very impressed about people who actually get along in those camps. First of all, you have to deal with the masses of people. And there are so many cultures coming together that there are conflicts arising all the time. So in your home, you do it like this, and then the other person says, no, we don't, and then at some point they end up being, beating each other up. Well, what I'm trying to introduce to you is the level of aggressiveness that I've seen. Just so you know, I have worked in one of those camps for about a year, and have lived there as well. So I do have an understanding of what I'm talking about a little bit. So the first impression when you come, what does it mean when the person who comes into the camp, you go in and the first person you meet is security? That's the impression that you get.
Ich gebe so die Prozent tatsächlich die Beschwerde von den Menschen, wie viel tatsächlich.
I'm trying to give you an idea of the percentage of how many complaints were made by people on this or about this. So you come in, you get looked at. Do you speak English? Huh? So they talk to you in one-word sentences. Asyl, asyl. They don't talk to you in full sentences, and they still look at you. You're a father. You're a wife. You're a wife. You have your children with you, and they have their uniform on. They're being really harsh.
Interkulturelle Kompetenz zu haben.
And the security people don't have the intercultural competence to deal with all of this. These people come from, I don't know where, from so far away, and then you come in, and someone looks at you when you come in and basically shows you you're not welcome. So you come in, the children, everyone is looking down because they're... And the security guys stand there like someone from the FBI. They could really be a little bit more friendly, but it really doesn't work out a lot of times. The mentors, the people who are looking out for the refugees are very different too.
So konservativ drauf.
So many of them seem to be very conservative.
Also nicht auf menschlicher Ebene, sondern ja, das ist mein Lohn.
So they seem to be working for the money, for the salary, and not for the humans there, and that's difficult. So since 5 years, we always get the complaint that there is a lot of discrimination going on in the camps because the rooms are mixed. So many cultures are mixed in those camps. And it seems like there is a preference choosing of certain groups going on, which he mentioned earlier as well. Yeah? Okay, so for example, one of the restrictions that you just mentioned was a child asking for toys and it not being allowed to take it into his or her room. Okay, so there's another example about an African person who wasn't as well treated as other people around him or her, or everything in between. So if you go to the supermarket and you're not in luck and you're in an area where you have a lot of nationalists, and you see that everyone in front of you in the line is really nice, hello, goodbye, and you arrive at the cashiers, and at some point the mood completely changes. So sometimes I just left everything there. I didn't do the shopping in the end. So many people who have had bad experiences with the onboarding process and the so-called Duldung, which is the acceptance in Germany, which is not actual the asylum status. If they had had a lot of bad experiences, then they don't want to go through this again, so they leave it. So they have this attitude that is naturally built up in a way.
So we already talked about food and the people in the camps. Let's talk about clothing. When they first arrive in the camps, they all need clothing. The problem is the clothing that they get there, the people in charge of the refugees take the clothes and then they decide what they give out to whom, and there's often not enough clothes. Maybe they're the wrong size. There's usually not enough clothing warm enough for winter, clothing for children. So when we're talking about Hamburg, Leipzig, Berlin, those are big cities. There's always donations coming in, but the attention when there are people like called Schneeberg with one bus per day, where people give where it's needed that people give donations. So people usually come with one suitcase, and they have to prioritize what's in there, the things they really need. What are they going to take? Medication. They will be taken away from you because, hey, maybe those are drugs. That might be the reason. And after that, they also take stuff like hair cutters, laptops, and then they give you some sort of receipt, and you can take it out of their safe. Also, what's difficult in the camps, usually there's no internet if it's, like, Schneeberg. You can't open up a contract. You can't get a SIM card. How? It used to be easier. You go to Aldi or somewhere, buy the card, easy. And now, my feeling is it's intentional, because I know camps where the people go with their papers with the strange names on it. They go in, and the person at the counter says, "I'm not sure if I'm allowed to sell you this." And that's why they don't get any SIM cards. And until they find a place with an Oriental store or a call center, that's quite difficult, because it's hard to get out of the camps because they tend to be quite far outside. You don't have money. And why would they need internet in the first place? It's a distraction for the children, people who went through horrible things, unspeakable things. Even I can't imagine that. I've seen things, but there are people you see in their eyes, they're done. But they try to stay fit and move on and fight on. Well, so they need this thing to call their families. How are you? Are you still on the way? Are you still in Syria, in the middle of the desert? And all those things, that's very important to them. Also, food. Oof. Food. Just white pasta, sauce, potatoes with something. So the feeling is, no, not really food that gives you energy, that you can master your everyday life. You don't get anything out of that food. Many of those say, hey, I don't want to eat that. There's even rotten food, also for children. Even though the people who are there say, hey, let's get together, and then we write an application, you collect the signatures, and you try to apply or protest for something, but there's no answer. It's, again, if you have connections, one of my friends does the kitchen shifts there, but if you're looking and research how much money is spent on refugees, the NGOs who are in charge of those camps, they receive a lot of money. But what do they spend it on? Not for quality of life for the people living there. They don't want a luxury restaurant, but like something fresh and not something cooked with water or noodles or anything. And also, the people say, hey, we can cook for you. We can do catering. That's also integration. They want integration. Hey, directly from the camps. No, they only allow you to work for 80 cents or 60 cents. And then they're so proud of that. I do not understand that. Then you don't have a water cooker. You don't necessarily have a power outlet. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And if there's one power outlet for 2 to 4 people, then one charges a laptop, one charges a cell phone. Sometimes then too much electricity is used, something gets damaged, then security comes, and there are like 8 people in a room, and one wants to charge their phone. What are they supposed to do? It's a bit much. So there are no water heaters. Sometimes you find pasta cooked. You can't really do your tea in those kettles that you find with the noodles in it. And yeah, there are a few camps which are clean, which get cleaned every day. But hey, come on. Okay, time is running out. So some camps are clean, but it's not enough to clean that once a day for more than 800 people living together in one place. You need shifts, people that clean every day.
Okay, now I'm going to go further. How many people are in those camps? Often 6, 4, 2. There are camps that do exceptions for people with disabilities. I've seen this, that they actually tried to give barrier-free spaces. There are some flats from people who show solidarity, who are really cool, but the problem is that the people who are the solidarity people, they don't stay so long because they can't, in the end, do something against the circumstances. So you get the whole package from the people who have those problems. You get letters, you get complaints, and sometimes you just can't bear it, so you can't stay. And you see the circumstances, you see the status quo with the people who mentor, the people who are supposed to service a bit, who take care of them, and that's been like this for a longer time. Now I would like to make a Speedy Gonzales discussion round together. Yes, so this is my time to jump in again. Thank you so much for the talk. Now we can jump back into the questions, and please give us some applause.
Genau, im Raum sind Mikrofons aufgestellt, da könnt ihr gerne hingehen für Fragen.
Ja.
Und dann können wir sicher auch
You can go to the microphones if you have questions.
Ja, sonst, ich habe gerade schon...
And I have an introductory question. Is there a moment, is there an experience that made you do this kind of work? How did you get into the situation of doing this work?
Ja, genau.
Huh? To do this? Oh.
Oh,
Well, it's a little bit personal, but I can tell you a bit about it. I myself have lived here with the so-called Duldungs status for 15 years. I was arrested once, so I have experience in this. And I know about this. I can know about my mistakes now. And if you get, letters that tell you what you can do and whatnot, I know about this. We had a close friend from a movement I didn't quite understand. And he's just got a lot of personal experience. They were... one person as Gambia was sent away out of the country. A friend, he was deported after 23 years of friendship.
Dann haben wir da hinten eine Frage.
And it's all about chances of staying. Hello. First of all, thank you very much for your work and for your presentation. I have two questions. The first one is, do you have experience from other countries? Do you know whether this is it's horrible everywhere, or is it especially bad in Germany? Could you tell us whether there is a country which we can look at that do things better? Now we can copy. Well, I don't want to compare too much, but it's always a thing. In Germany, there is a couple of things that are good, and there is a couple of things that are bad. And if I compare it with Spain or Italy or with France, then, and I would say it's a security issue.
Also das ist von meinen auch so Perspektive und von meinen Erfahrungen.
So, Perspektive, in my experience,
Griechenland auch.
they criminalize you
Du hast keine Rechte.
here, but in Greece as well, you don't have any rights. So in Italy, for example, some people say, I like it. There are some cities that when they are there, they give you,
20 Jahren.
well, that was, by the way, 15 and 20 years ago, they give you a piece of paper. You don't get any social support, you don't have a flat, but you can be here, have fun. And some people say that's good for me. I can go to my uncle, I can go outside, I can do something. And I don't know in these countries whether this is on purpose or not. So some people come in over the Netherlands and Italy. And I sometimes get the feeling that countries fight against each other. Ah, yeah, okay. So if someone says, they get asked, where do you want to go? And if someone says Germany, then they say, yeah, okay, go further, go. And
Du fängst an, wenn du kommst, also es gibt keine, sage ich, direkte Lager oder Erstaufnahme.
So there is not a first onboarding camp that you. There is none that you can actually can go to. You only can get solidarity from people that really helps.
Es gibt es paar Menschen, sie sind voll nett und sie geben ihren alten Häuser an.
So some people give their old houses. Some people say, hey, if you look at after my house or after my space, then you can live here. And that's my experience that I have in Spain. There is a group of people we know in Spain. Often they don't have the rights to stay there. If they come from African countries, from Gambia and Ghana, there's big communities, they like it there. But the problem is, but you can wait for 30 years before your application goes through. There is a space called High Solid Space, I think, where he is living and working. And this institution has got outposts in every country, so they help find rooms for people. And they try to decide for the people who need it most. And when I look at the experiences that we have from Greece, and I have to say, in Greece, if you look from the perspective of someone who's going through it, Greece is the worst. Okay, thank you very much. Back there is another question.
So, if I don't know where the camp is, I see the people, I see they're not well, how do I reach them? So, okay, how do you reach the people? Different ways. Sometimes people are scared. So, you see an encampment and they're like, can I get in, can I not get in? But our experience, which we have told to many people, just go in, I sit in my chair, I have information material, I have sweets, I have something to give, or give a project like bikes and do some playing, then they will come out and come to you. They all expect being addressed, like, oh, come on, come on. But look, that sounds strange. They're new. They don't know how the German culture works. Also for me, it was like that. I had to, if somebody is a stranger in our country, they're like, you're German, how are you doing in Libya? And you find people that talk to you. But here, you realize you have to engage yourself until you can get to know people. Only that's the only way to get connections. And if you go there, you can just address the people when they get out. I also made that experience. Quite often, people addressed me. They visited me in the camp. They slept in the camps, and they were being in solidarity. So I just go there. Yeah, use the method that works for you. It all depends on the place. And then it's important, don't use the parking space of the owners of the camp, because then the FBI comes and tells you you need to go. Park in a distance, and especially when people are affected with the payment card or that need something, when they come out of the building, you can see it. They have a lot of question marks in their face. They are disoriented. They want to get out. They don't want to stay in the camp. They're disoriented, and they're very happy if somebody is showing solidarity like you do. Thanks a lot. I think that's a great last word here.
Hingehen und zuhören.
Go, listen is probably a great motto for all of us and for next year. Thank you for this lovely talk, and yeah, thanks a lot. And that's it from us, the translation engineers. So if you need more details, because of the time, I wanted to go into more details. We were in the fusion, in the content tent. We have 60 minutes where there are more details, even also on the CCC website. So thanks a lot for being here, and thanks for the solidarity. A warm applause, and your translation angels will be signing off.